But if I'm coming into politics where I want to talk about being a United States senator, a governing body that voted for discretionary spending and fast and loose constitutional provisions to allow us to go into two unconstitutional and disgraced wars, and I lead with that, what the fuck am I saying to the people who are going to vote for me? I'm saying you motherfuckers are dumb. You're stupid. I'm intelligent. I'm military intelligent. You're fucking stupid. You're so caught up in the false identity of American citizenship that you'll let me bring my service up here as a credentialization when we stole the money from you to go perpetuate the wars. And we're planning to do it again. I'm the same guy today that did it to you.
Vote me in.
30 years ago.
Right.
I'm going to run it on you again.
It's the long con.
And I'm going to send your sons. I'm going to send our boys.
And they're patriotic.
I'm going to send our sons and daughters. I'm going to send the Mike Marine Richmonds to a war he never needed to be in. Do we appreciate his service? Yeah, but I'm more saddened that he had to go in the first place. Now looking back on it, we get so caught up in the glory of making the sacrifice and putting on the uniform, we forget to ask the question, did he ever really need to go?
That's why they send young men to fight wars.
If anybody out there is still mistaken about us needing to go to Iraq or Afghanistan, the verdict is in. We didn't need to go to Iraq. We didn't need to go to Afghanistan. We went to Afghanistan, and where we ended up finding Osama, I remember the days after 9/11, we were in discussions with the Pakistani government, who at the time was then just in the early stages of developing nuclear weapons. And there was a huge resistance from the international community to allow Pakistan to have nuclear weapons. Now they're well off in having nuclear weapons, which will be a problem in the future for India and the rest in the region. But that was the discussion then, that Pakistan was going to cooperate with us because they were already under scrutiny in their pursuit of nuclear weapons. But we believed them. Dick Cheney, Rumsfeld, all these people got up and were asked by the American media, back when it still had a small iota of integrity. They were asked by the American media, are we worried about Pakistan? Yeah, well, we of course we have to be concerned about our relationship with Pakistan. It's very fragile and whatnot, and we're working with them to make sure that the nuclear thing is going as according to the rules and regulations and expectations of the international community. But we're going to tap on them to help us with this problem. Where the fuck did they end up finding Osama bin Laden?
Right by their major military training academy. Right down the block.
I digress.
Right down the block.
I digress.
That's another British...
military intelligence.
That's another British blowback area over there, Afghanistan. Mm-hmm. And when you say sending the sons and daughters to fight, what are we really fighting for? What are they going over to fight in the Middle East?
The Suez Canal, I guess.
That's correct. That's all it's... And, there was an agreement. This whole area is governed by an agreement. I think it's called the Sykes-Picot Agreement, 1916. When the World War I ended, the Ottoman, the Turks, let's just call them the Turks, like we call the Russians the Soviet Union, kind of obscure. It's the Russians, the Ottoman Empire. Mm-hmm. It's Turkey, right? When they lost their empire because they were defeated, the French and the British got together and they just carved up the Middle East like they owned it, because they did.
Yeah.
And the French got Lebanon and Syria. And the British took Iraq and Palestine and Jordan and Saudi. And why did they do that? Because they had Egypt and they had that Suez Canal.
Right.
And from the perspective of I have 5 military-age kids. Mm-hmm. 5-year age, right? You've met some of them.
Mm-hmm.
They're going over to fight in someone else's backyard. And here's what that guy thinks. That guy. Because he's got a historical memory. He's not fucking stupid like my kids are. He knows about the Sykes-Picot Agreement. He knows that these European powers came into his homeland and scrambled everybody's ass because they were some good jolly bank robbers, and they were just there to get the fucking money out of India and China. So they didn't really want to do anything to help these people. They made them hate each other. They found every tribal division where people were fighting with swords and armed them. They took the Sunnis and Shias and pitted them against each other, and then stuck the Kurds in there for a dose of fucking crazy. okay? And they were able to manage the mouth to that Red Sea with a handful of people, and they had millions of people going nuts, and that's what we're living in right now. So if you live there, you fucking know this history
Right.
because you're a gang, right?
Right.
And you know you got played.
And you're waiting.
And you know, here's what you know from your perspective. The French have already been pushed out. Lebanon and Syria are now controlled by Islamic groups.
Right.
And the Catholics that lived in Lebanon were the victims of a genocide
Mm-hmm.
or they left. Like some of my friends that you know that I talk about sometimes.
Right.
My partner, Alejandro.
Right.
Those are families that were the first Catholics, those families and the Islamic groups, the Muslim groups, destroyed those people.
Right.
So now they look at what's left. It's just the flow of history. Now they're just going to push out the Anglos, which would include us. That's what we're facing.
Good. Let's go. We're out.
Just sail on home.
Yeah, we're out of there. Yeah,
Well,
this is all Kissinger and the petrodollar. This is this whole idea that, look, if you're European, you need the fucking gas in the Middle East. You need the cobalt in the Congo. You need I don't know. You need the what are those really good moisturizing creams that they were selling in the middle of the mall kiosk with the salt from the Dead Sea.
Salt from the Dead Sea.
Salt from the Dead Sea
There
cream.
you go.
Yeah, you need the salt from the Dead Sea cream. We don't need that shit. We don't need that shit. We don't need that gas. We don't need that oil. We don't need the cobalt. We don't need the dead salt, the Dead Sea salt cream. We don't need it. You guys need it. You fight for it. If there's really what?
This is great.
What?
This is great.
If there's really a European identity,
if
there's really a European Union, you motherfuckers unionize.
I have not talked to you
Time to
for
fight a
while.
war.
I have not talked to you for a while, and your sword has become very sharp at exactly the right time. Everybody needs to know. Royce and I, we haven't discussed this for a long time, but we actually agree. What in the fuck are we doing there? I just said as we were coming on,
the Suez Canal.
We're the only dumbass bouncer in the history of bars that paid to be a bouncer. Usually, when you're a bouncer, you get paid to beat people up. We're actually paying. That's how bad the British have fucked up our minds.
Oh,
we're actually paying to be a bouncer.
I said it the other day. I said, look, when if you want to pay, look, it's one thing to be a whore. It's one thing to be a prostitute. It's the oldest profession in the world.
Get paid.
I get it.
Get paid.
Get paid.
Right.
Don't pay to be a prostitute.
What is
You're
that?
You're paying them
to be a prostitute.
To be a prostitute.
That's very strange.
That's cuckery.
That's
perverted.
That's very perverted.
It's very perverted.
It means our whole culture at its base politically is perverse. And is it any surprise
no wonder
that it's spread out everywhere?
No wonder.
Very simple fix then, right? You restore spiritual and physical boundaries.
Yes.
That's it. The spiritual boundary is to stop being a bouncer for no benefit.